Yeah. So already in this slide, yesterday it's been explained about myself. So let us start the programming concept. Today, I'm going to take up the C++ programming concept in detail. Okay, so C++, what is C++? C++ is a general purpose programming language used widely nowadays for competitive programs. It has imperative, object oriented, and generic programming features. It runs in lot of platforms like Windows, Linux, Unix, and Mac. These are the basic things in the beginning stage of this slide. So let us go forward. So first thing, we need to know how to write a simple program on C++. The first basic thing is to get the output called hello world. So there are different kinds of programming language. They are C, C++, Java, and so on. So the first thing I'm going to start is C++ basic program. So when you start writing the program, you need to have a header file. There are different kinds of header files for different programs. Header files is nothing but the main beginning platform of the program. So what is header file? Header file iostream.h. Header file iostream.h is nothing but input and output stream reader, which will accept the information from the C in and C out. Next syntax is int main. So we have to create a main class of this program. Any program for that matter, when you start writing the program, you have to create the main of that program. So after creating the main of the program, in this slide, I have shown only one block with the flower bracket open and close. So the syntax, what I want to get it from this, what I want to get it from this is hello world. As it is simple. So get anything to print on the output screen, I should have C in and C out. What is C in and what is C out? I will discuss you in the coming slides. So C out will give you or it will accept the information to give you the output. Hello world. So whatever you write it in the single quotes or double quotes is a string. Double quotes in string and C++, it is used to identify the single character. In single quote, it will identify the single character, and in double quotes, it will identify the string character. Now, let us go further. Comments. So each time when you write the program, there will be a lot of discussion, there will be a lot of doubts, there will be a lot of information need to understand by the user. So we use comments. So comments is nothing but the compiler will not understand what you're written. Using some codes, some symbols you use, those symbols if you use the compiler or the interpreter will not understand. It is for your information or it is for your understanding. So there are different kinds of comments. The first one is the double line comment. The double line comment. What is comment first of all? Comment line, double line comment. Double line comment is nothing but it will end the line. So whatever you write on the particular line with this backslash twice, if you use the symbol backslash twice, keep it in mind, if you use once, it won't be accepted. If you use backslash twice, then what happens? Your comment will be accepted or it will be activated. Once, how to understand that the comment is activated? It's very simple. In the programming section, you use a double line comment. Your line, the complete line will be in passive mode. So it will not be in active mode. Once it is in passive mode, then the compiler cannot understand or cannot read what is written inside the comment. So the single line comment ends at the end of the line, whereas you want to write a paragraph or you want to write more than one line, then you can use block comments or we can commonly call it as multi-line comments. So multi-line comments, the symbol goes like this, backslash star. and write as much as how much ever you want. You have to write. You can write the information about your programs, about the syntax, about the questions, about the queries of the particular program. Once you finish your information floated on this, you have to end with the star and followed by the backslash. So comments are useful because when you write the program, from beginning till the end of the program, till the end, I mean to say return 0, means there does not have any return value till the end of the block, closing flower bracket. Comments will help you to understand what exactly each line does. Each line will work on the program. These are the two things you need to understand for the comment section. So multi-line comments is nothing but starts with backslash and star and followed by the star backslash. This is about the comments. Let's go to the next slide. Identifiers. C++ identifiers. This is also very, very important. See here, participants, whatever the basics, whatever the fundamentals you understand, that is the foundation for writing the proper program in the coming session. Okay, if you don't know the basics of the program, what has to be used, what not to be used, do's and don'ts, then it is difficult for you to write the program. Programming cannot be by-hearted or it cannot be mugged up. You have to understand the application of that, and you have to understand the steps and how it has to be accepted by the compiler and what kind of outputs you need to get from this programmer. So identifiers. All C++ variables must be identified with a unique name. So in C++ identifiers, you have to identify the variables with the different names. See, for example, my name is Manjunath. I have my unique identity. For example, C++, the word C++ has a unique identity. Same goes with everything, everywhere. Everybody has the identity. So what kind of identity you have in the society? What kind of identity you are having in your society? That is very important. So that is for the general terms. When it comes to the program, it is about coding, machine language. You all know what is machine language, low level language, high level language, all those things. Computer will understand only the machine language, not the high level language. High level language consists of alphabets, numbers, and special characters. So a low level language is nothing but zeros and ones, which computer cannot understand. So the compiler will convert that low level language into high level language by using binary code, American Standard Code of Information Interchange, that is ASCII. Those are all basic terms before coming to the identifiers. The general rules for constructing names for a variable. What are the general rules we need to follow to have a unique identity of the variables, which is called as identifiers? First one is name. Whatever the name you gave in the programming section, it should be a letter, it should be number, and it should be underscore. It should not be a mix of all those things. Either you start Manjunath, let it be Manjunath. Either you start with digit, let it be 1, 2, 3, 4. Either you start with underscore, let it go with underscore. But don't mix the content. Second one, name must begin with the letter or an underscore. So the letter should begin with the words, whatever it has to begin with the letters. Don't go for numbers or any digits, anything like that. It has to start with the first alphabets. Third thing is case sensitive. What is case sensitive? Compiler will understand C++ uppercase and lowercase in different way. The uppercase, for example, uppercase nothing but the capital letters. For example, my where or my computer. If you write this my computer in capital letter, then the compiler will understand it in different way. And my computer, if you use it in lower level or underscore lowercase, then it will be in different cases. Why it is going to take it in case sensitive? You need to understand that. See, ASCII has a value for each and every keys we use in the keyboard, which will be understood by the compiler, and then relevant output will be given on the screen. Okay, so what is that ASCII? ASCII code is, for example, I'm just giving an example. Small letter A starts with 97, or capital letter A starts with 67, like that. So each number will have a code, and that code will be bifurcated by binary numbers, and from there binary numbers, whatever the number, zeros and ones, that your computer will be able to understand. Okay, that is very important. So in C++, not only in C++, in any kind of programming language, it might be in Java. Java also it is uppercase and lowercase, it treats case sensitive. Next one, name cannot contain white space or special characters like hash, percentage, full stop, greater than symbol, lesser than symbol, question mark, anything for that matter. You cannot start your name with the special symbols or with the white space. Now here, what is white space? White space is nothing but the space given between the words. Those are all white space. Next point I'm going to talk on is reserved words. See, reserved words, for example, reserved, it is completely, particularly, it is a unique identified number. Yeah. Yes. The reserved word. Like C++ keywords such as int cannot be used as a name. See, there are different kinds of keywords which will be discussed in the next slide. So each keywords have a special meaning and it performs a different work for the compiler. So these are the identifiers of this programming language. So these fundamentals you need to understand. Whatever you want, you cannot write in the syntax the way you write in the program. Different languages, the way of writing is different. See, for example, I'll give you a small example. Java and C++. Before Java, C++, and before that, C. The beginning, we can say the programming was in C programming, and later it got updated to C++, and further with Java and so on. So what the funda of these three is, I'm taking example of these three. What is the fund of these three is very simple. All three have got the same way of delivering the content, but the way of writing is different. The way of writing is different. If I say in Hindi, come here, the wordings will be different. In English, come here is different. In other language, come here is different. The meaning is same. The way you project in front of others will be different. Okay. The meaning is same and the way you convert your information to other person is very important. Those are called reserved words. So now I hope I'm clear with the identifiers. Identifiers, you need to understand it has a unique name to create a variables. So next, shall we go to the next slide? Yeah. Hope this section is clear with you. Any doubts, you can place your doubts on the chat box. Any clarifying, any doubts you have in identifiers? See, why I'm asking, why I'm going a little slower, because these are the very important fundamentals you need to understand. Once you're thorough with the fundamentals, then any kind of programs you can write and you can become a big programmer in coming days. Okay, next one. Next slide, I'm going to speak on C++ user input and output. Very important thing is the user's input and output. So what is input and what is output? See, normally any small child can understand what is input and output. Input is used to accept the information. Output is used to display the information. Same goes here. In C and Java, the way of writing is different, as I told you. C, it is C in and C out. And in Java, it is different. Okay, Java, it is different. Now, let us talk on C++ today. C++. C out is used to output print values and C in is used to Get the user's input. Cin is a predefined variable that reads the data from the keyboard with the extraction operator. See here, you need to understand, without using the extraction operator and insertion operator, Cin and Cout cannot be used. So Cin is used, Cin can be accepted by the keyboard. Whatever the information you give from the keyboard, Cout should take the information and display on the output screen. In the following example, the user can input a number. See here, the user can input a number which is stored in a variable x. So I have taken int x. So x is a variable and int is a data type. So there are different kinds of data types. We'll discuss in the coming slides. So these are the inputs. Now Cout, type a number. So when you type a number, this type a number will be seen on the output screen, but you cannot type the number unless you accept the information. So to accept the information, Cin is used. Get user input from the keyboard. So unless you accept the information, the output cannot be displayed. So C is extraction operator and Cout is insertion operator. Okay, this is one thing in this slide. Any queries on this slide can place your chat on the chat box. I'll go to the next slide. Okay, keywords. As I discussed in the early time, keywords. So keyword, normally the keyword is having a special meaning. In C++, there are more than 60 plus keywords available. All have got a special meaning. For example, if you see here ASM, auto, brake, case, catch, car. See, all are having different words which we normally don't use it in normal day-to-day life. For example, if I take this switch means we know only the switching on and off button, but in programming, the way of understanding the keyword is different. Okay, and int is a data type, long is also data type, double is also data type. So each data type have got different kinds of memory capacity. Range of memory is different to store a variable or a value of the variable. So these are the things about the keywords. Next thing I am going to talk on tokens. Tokens acts as the building blocks of a program. It is just like a living cell in the smallest possible unit of a life. See, in each and every possible living life, we have cells. So every cell, the total combination of the cells is a life. So when we go about tokens, there are different kinds of tokens: keywords, identifiers, constant, strings, operators, and special symbols. These are the basic tokens. Keywords I discussed in the previous slide. The previous slide goes like this. It was about special meaning. There are more than 60 plus keywords available here, and each keyword have a different meaning. Identifiers, I started with identifiers. How to start the program, what are the ways of writing the program, what is used to write the program, what not to be used in the program, how to write the program, how to compile the program, all those things in identifiers. Constant. See, constant means that there are different kinds of constant literal, number literal, all those things. The number which we use in the program, that will be constant and cannot be changed during the execution of the program. The next one is string. String, there are two kinds. One is character string, one is a normal string. So character string can hold only single character with a single quotes, whereas in string, we can have more than one characters, that is called as strings. You can see in my slide, help to means engineering C tutorial. So here I have more than one alphabet. I mean to say more than one characters. To accept more than one characters, I will use strings. Next is the operator. Operators are used for mathematical calculation. It might be addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and so on. Those things we will discuss in detail in this session. Next one is the special symbols. The special symbols we use on different platforms, different places. So when we start writing the program, when I explain you with the example of the program, I'll speak about the special symbols. Next one is the data types. So there are different kinds of data types. I think there are different kinds of data types. They are mainly two things. One is primitive data type and other one is composite data type. Primitive data type are the user defined inbuilt data type, and the composite data type are the user defined data type. Primitive data type are the inbuilt data type which is provided by the compiler. If you want to add your own data types, then those kind of data types are called as composite data types that will be discussed in the next slides. Now I am going to discuss on the primitive data types. Normally there are 8 kinds of primitive data types, and each will have different kinds of work assigned to them. First thing, example, int. Int is nothing but in the whole you can call it as an integer. What is integer? Integer is nothing but a number which is in whole. I mean to say whole number. So 1, 2, 3, 5, 10, 50, 100, any numbers. Depend on the number size, the data type will be stored. So int can hold only the whole number. When it comes to the floating point number, it is a floating point number. So floating point is nothing but we are accepting the decimal numbers. I mean to say the fractional numbers to accept. So fractional numbers, it might be 5.99 or 9.98 or any number. So as you increase the size of the number, the data type changes. You need to change the data type. If you're using a small data type, if you are using the small number which is in decimal, then you can go for float. If you're using it for bigger number, you can go for double. These are the difference between int, float and double. Okay, int will hold the whole numbers. Float will hold the decimal number. These are the two simple example or simple differentiation between these two data types. What we want to store alphabets, one alphabets or more than one alphabets or any condition. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the character. So this character CHAR is a data type. It is nothing but called as character. See here, character donates, or it will tell you the character in single quotes. Whatever you write it in the single quotes, participants keep it in mind. In the coming session, when you write the program, these are the small snippets you need to understand to write the program. So if you don't understand the fundamentals, then it will be difficult. Okay, in this session, completely I'm going to focus on the basics of C++. Now, let us come back to the session. Char is nothing but character, and my letter I have kept here as D. So D is a single character which is enclosed in single quotes. So whenever you want to accept any one character, you cannot take the data type int or float. You cannot take the data type int or float. You can only take the character as CHAR when you are supposed to take a single character. Next data type is Boolean data type. Boolean data type is nothing but the condition, if the condition is true or false. So for example, if I take an example, 5 is greater than 10. Is 5 is greater than 10? 5 is greater than 10? No. So first it will check the first condition, 5 is greater than 10. So the condition is false. So the answer will be false, and this is how the Boolean literals or Boolean function will work. So whenever you are going to have the condition, then you need to use Boolean data type. The next one, the last data type of this slide is string my text hello. See here, char and string have the differentiation, different kinds of aspects they hold here. One is char for single alphabets, which is enclosed in single quotes, and the second one is in Second one is in double quotes. Whatever you have written inside this, that will be a statement. So here I have taken an example called hello. Okay. This is about the basic details of data types. Any doubts or anything you need to talk on this slide, you can put your information on the chat box. Okay, let us go to the next slide then. Next slide. See this slide. This slide is nothing but the storage capacity of the data slide. Data types. See, int can store 4 bytes, float can store 4 bytes, double can store 8 bytes. See here the difference between int, float, and double. Double have got more capacity to store more than 15 decimal numbers. Float can store about sufficient numbers like 7 decimal numbers, and int can store a whole number without any decimals. And boolean, it's just to say whether the condition is true or false, the value or the condition, whether it is satisfying, or the expression left hand side and the right hand side, any one condition has to be satisfied to tell that it is true or false. Those times we use boolean condition. So that is 1 byte. Next one is char. Char also will hold 1 byte because each character have standard of American ASCII. ASCII is nothing but American Standard Code of Information Interchange. So each code what is being accepted by the keyboard will have a code, as I told you in the beginning. So those things will have a calculation part by using binary numbers, and according to that, zeros and ones will be accepted by your machine, that is your computer or any kind of electronic devices. So this is about the data types and the range of values or the size of the data type with the description. Let us go to the next one. Next slide. Next slide is operators. See, in C++ there are n number of operators. We can operate on different calculation parts. Operators can be used to perform operation on variables and values. So keep it in mind when you are operating or when you're using the operator. When you're using the operator, what happens? You should have a variable and a value. Without variable and a value, whatever the operators you use doesn't make any sense here. So I am taking here the basic of C++ operators. They are arithmetic operators, assignment operators, comparison operators, and logical operators. So these are the 4 operators today I'm going to discuss on. So before that, the thing is operators are very essential in calculation part. It might be any kind of calculation. So we use operators. Without operators, you cannot do any calculations. So let's get started in detail on these 4 operators. Next one, next slide is about the operators used to perform common mathematical calculation. These are the common mathematical calculation. It might be addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, modulus, plus, and minus. Let me go in detail one by one. Plus. See here, there are 2 variables I've taken x and y. So variables I'm using in the left operand is x and in the right operand is y. And the operator I'm using is plus. Okay, this is the example I'm taking. Next one is x minus y, x into y, x divided by y, x modulus y. So I'm going to talk more on the last 3 parts because the first 4 parts almost you have used to see this in day-to-day life, but the last 3 are quite different in programming languages. See here, x divide modulus y. Normally we say this symbol as percentage symbol. Yes or no? Yes. But in programming part, this makes a different condition. For example, x I'll take a value as 18 and y I'll take a value as 6. Okay, if you divide this, 18 divided by 6, answer will be 3. Okay, the quotient will be 3 and remainder will be 0, correct? When it comes to the modulus operator, what happens here? I'll take the example x as 19 and y as 6. 19 modulus 6 is what? 19 modulus 6 is the remainder is 1 and at the top the quotient is 3. 6 3s are 18 and 1 is the remainder. So answer is for modulus operator is 1. Whenever you do any calculation, it will not give you the quotient, it will give you only the remainder of that particular calculation. Next one is the increment operator. Increment operator, it might be post increment or pre-increment. Okay, increment operator is used in for loop statements. Now, most of the time, increment operator is used to increment by 1. Every time when the condition is being looped inside the for loop statement, the number is increased by 1. So the next one is a decrement operator. This decrement operator also, like increment operator, decrement operator will decrease by 1 and increment operator will increase by 1. This is about the arithmetic operators. Now let us go and see a small example of this operators. How does it work in the programming compiler? Okay. Before that, what kind of compiler I'm using? See, there are different kind of platforms to run the program. In C++, normally they use Turbo C or Turbo C++ in all the institutions, but that is not graphically oriented GUI. Okay, it is character interface. It is not graphically interfaced one. So here, Dev D++ is a graphical user interface GUI, which will help you to accept the information and all those things. What you can do, it can be accepted easily. Okay, it can be accepted easily. So that is one thing I need to understand you. Okay, in as I discussed in the example program, include IOStream. IOStream is nothing but the header files that are included at the beginning. Okay, IOStream is nothing but that is taken in the beginning in the C program or in C++. Here, IOStream is the header file which provides us to input and output the streams. Header files contain pre-declared function libraries which can be used by users for their ease, for their convenience. So input and output, input and output, I mean to say C in and C out, IOStream header file can be used. Next one is use namespace std. What is this use namespace std? So it tells the compiler to use a standard namespace. I mean to say it should be a proper one. Namespace collects identifiers used for class, object, and variables. See, whatever you use in the programming block or coming section of the block, you can use, it can be used for variables, objects, and class. These are the basic information about these two lines. Next one, to open or to start any program, you will start with the main. Okay. So after that, opening bracket. So I'm opening the block of the beginning of this program. In this program, I'm going to discuss only on the simple basic operators, that is arithmetic operators. So if I click this plus, so the value and the data type and the variables I have initialized here, the int is a data type used and A is a variable and B is the variable. So if you use this much is not enough, you need to assign value for a variable. So we have assigned a value for a variable, that is in A 7 is assigned and B 2 is assigned. In A 7 is assigned and in B2 is assigned. So is equal to symbol is an assignment operator symbol that is used to assign a value of a variables. Now, see, I told you about the comments. Double line comments, it is in passive mode. It is in passive mode. Okay, if you remove one line, I will show you that if you remove one line, it will become active mode. And if you if you put one more backslash, it will be active mode, passive mode. So if you remove one, it is the compiler can read the syntax. If you put one more line, the compiler cannot read the syntax, and this will be treated as the comments for the user to understand the program on particular syntax. Now let us come for the arithmetic operators. So value, you should keep it in mind, 7 is A and 2 is B. So A plus B is equal to. So this is in double quotes. We use this for string literals, string components. So yesterday one query was there. What is the use of the double quotes? Double quotes is used to store the information about the strings or any other operators. So here, whatever you have written here, that will be treated as a statement and it will print as it is on the output compiler. And the next one is what answer I need to get from this? What symbol is this? This is insertion symbol, and the other part is the exertion symbol. A plus B. A is 7 and B is 2. The answer should be 9, correct? Okay, keep it in mind. When we compile the program, we'll see it in the output screen. Next one is A minus B. A minus B is 7 minus 2 is 5. Answer should be 5. And end line, end L. See, this end line will stop the condition, or it will come out of this line and go for the next fresh line. Whenever you use cout with the syntax A plus B or whatever you want to write it in the double quotes, with the insertion operator to invoke the value of A and B. Invoking the value means A value is not been written here, but it is been invoked by this syntax. As the same B is not the one here, the value is not assigned here, but the value is assigned in different part of the program. So that is here, and this is B is equal to 2. So value is 2. So A minus B is 5. The answer should be 5. Correct? The next one is multiplication operator. A multiplication operator. Okay, A multiplication operator, simple calculation. It is 7 into 2 is 7 2s are 14. The answer should be 14 and come out of this line. And L is the end of the line to come out of this line. So next one is the divisional operator. Divisional operator is nothing but dividing the number, and the number is 7 divided by 2. The answer will be in decimal. We'll see that in the output screen. The next one is modulus operator. I told you in the previous slide, modulus operator will give you only the remainder, not the quotient. Okay. So returns 0. What is return 0? Return 0 is nothing but the value of the main function. The value of the main function is returned and considered to exit status of the application. So whenever you write the return at the end of this session, end of the program, this return does not have any value. It is null and it will be posted to the main function. So return 0 is the value of the main function and it is considered as the exit status of the application. So this is a basic program for arithmetic operator. So once I finish everything, I have kept only one block of program. If I click this, automatically the other part of the program should also get highlighted. So this is about arithmetic operator. When you compile the program, let us go for compilation. So here, this is the symbol, compile and run. So when I click this, it will start compiling the program. So the C++ is processing the source file, and here, see, A plus B, 7 plus 3 is 9, and 7 plus A minus B, 7 minus 3 is 5, like that the numbers are there. The modulus here, you can see here, the modulus is 1. Means what? It will consider only the remainder of the calculation. This is about the arithmetic operator. Now I'll close this and I'll ask any queries on this arithmetic operators. You can ping your information or the queries in the chat box. Okay. Now let us go to the next one, next slide, that is program. I have explained you the program on this arithmetic operators. Next is the assignment operator. See, all have taken on a simple basic explanation so that everybody from the student point of view, from the industry point of view, from the academic point of view, from lecturers and professors, everybody they can understand easily. So in the later part of the session, next session, when we come to OOPS, we will discuss in detail on the core details of C++. Okay, I have one question here. So why do we write the return on 0 only? See, 0 is nothing but false and 1 is nothing but true in Boolean literal. See, 0 means there's no value stored in this. So if I go to the programming part, I'll show in program. See here, 0. So at the end of the session, end of the block, no value is being returned to the main. All values are stored or all values are invoked by cout, and the calculation part is being taken place in this block only. So at the end of the session, we say returns null value or there is no value being returned to the main. So I mean to say we are stopping the program or condition is being stopped or ending the status of the application. So main function will consider it as an exit part of this program. Yeah, which means end line, ending the line. Any other queries can be posted now? Okay, now hope you are understanding the question. If it is the doubts are clarified, then give your thumbs up so that I can proceed for the next slide. If you are understanding the concept of arithmetic operators, just give your thumb impression so that I can proceed for the next operator. And any doubts in the end of the session, we'll have discussion session, and there also you can clarify the doubts. Okay, then we'll go to the next operator, that is assignment operator. Any doubts? Is everything clarified? If you have any doubts, please place your text in the chat box. Okay, let us not waste much time on this. Any queries can be solved in the end of the session as well. Now, I'll go to the next explanation part, that is assignment operator. I was discussing about assignment operator. See, assigning something to somebody. So almost you know what is assigning. Assigning means giving some responsibility to somebody or giving some information or telling something about somebody. Those are all the general terms of normal life. But in operators of C++, there are different kinds of operators. Is equal to operator, plus is equal to operator, addition is equal to operator, multiplication, modulus equal to operator, everything. Now one by one we'll go. In the previous and this all are different. Don't think that it's all the same. Just a small difference between additional operator and assignment operator. Additional operator, we used symbol addition subtraction. Now we are using is equal to, means what the value what you are storing in the left hand operand and the right hand operand will be shared, will be sharing the information or will be sharing the values. How to share the values and all we'll go and see. Before that, arithmetic assignment operator. An assignment operator is an operator used to assign a new value. Keep it in mind, new value variable properly. It can also be used for logical operators or internal or integral operands and Boolean operands. So here, different kinds of operators are almost similar to assignment operators, like logical operator also is there, integral operator is also there, Boolean operator is also there. Now we'll go to the next part, program. So see, whatever we do with an example of program, you can understand better. That is my perception. So when you understand the program, then you are able to understand the concept as well. So I'll go with the program for the next concept, that is assignment operator. Assignment operator. So everywhere I've used the same syntax, IO stream, like input and output stream, namespace, and the opening part of this program, that is main. So next one is assignment operator. Here I am using A and B. In the previous program also I have used A and B, and the new variable I'm using is temporary variable. Temp is a dummy variable used for interchanging the value or exchanging the value or swapping the value from A to B and B to A. So here 2 is assigned to a value A. 2 is assigned to A. So A is stored in 2 and 7 is stored in B. So the value of A is 2 and value of B is 7. Now temporary variable, what is temporary variable? Value of A is assigned to temp. Temp is equal to A. So what happens here? The value of A is being transferred to temporary variable. So temp is also 2 and A is also 2. So is equal to operator will share the value of right hand to the left hand operand. So we call the right hand as right hand operand, and the first one is the left hand operand. So see out temp. Temp is equal to temp. So you can tell me the answer now. Temp is equal to is the syntax being placed on the output screen to show what has to be printed. Now temp. So here in this temp, what happens? In this temp, what is the value being printed? What will be the output? We can get it in the output screen. Can you guess? Yeah, it is 2 because A is 2 and the temp is also 2. Why we are taking temp as 2? Because temp is being assigned value of A. So this is temporary variable. Next one is A plus is equal to B. So A plus is equal to B. This is implicit operand. So this plus will come to the right hand side. So A is equal to A plus B. So you need to understand this carefully. Plus is equal to is there. So plus is equal to what happens? Plus will come to the right hand side and A will follow by that, and A is equal to A plus B. So A is equal to A plus B is what? A plus B is 7 plus 2 is 9. So the value of A will be stored as 9. So next is a return 0. There is no value written further. That means ending the program or condition is been exiting and the status of the application. So we'll go for an output of this assignment operator. This, okay, yes, the compiler starts running this. Temp is equal to and A is equal to 9. So temp, keep it in mind, temp was not assigned any value, but value was assigned to A and value was assigned to B. When we invoke or when we initialize the temp is equal to A, automatically temp can also take the value of A and it will be 2. So the next one was A is equal to 9. So A plus B. A plus B is nothing but 7 plus 2, it is 9. This is the arithmetic operator. So I'll close this compiler output screen and I'll click this cross mark close. I'll come back to the chat box now. Any queries can be shared now. Any doubts you can share now. Please put it in the chat box so that we can have a discussion on this. Okay. How does modulus affect the code, sir? I could not understand that bit. See here, very important to see abstraction and encapsulation. You need to understand what is abstraction and encapsulation. So whatever you do, you cannot see the background details or explanation, but the process is happening. Okay. So what I gave an example. For example, we'll take in A as 19 and B as 6. So 19 divided by 6, 6 ones are 6, 6 twos are 12, 6 threes are 18. So the quotient will be 3 and the remainder will be 1. So what happens? This modulus operator only takes the remainder, not the quotient. Rest all it will take the quotient, not the remainder. So that is the difference between modulus operator. That is the difference between modulus operator. So whenever you go for any calculation part, the remainder will be shown as the output, not the quotient part. Any other doubts? What if we don't write written 0? See, if you don't write written 0 also, it can be manageable, but when you use the package or the header files with different header files, I'm using here IOStream. There are n number of packages or header files IOStream, iomanip.h, ioconio.h. iomanip.h used for manipulating the calculation part. Canio.h is different and IOStream is different. Each header files will have the written value of 0. Normally in C++, we return the value 0 so that further the value is nothing and it denotes 0 and go to the main position where the complete block of program is been stored. Any other doubts? Shall we go to the next operator? See, the next operator, next operator is about the relational operator, all are same. So I'll go for control flow statement because it's 8:20 now. So let us go for the next slide. Relational operators, relational operator works the same. Okay, only the symbol of the operator is different. So we'll go for control flow statements now. So control flow statement, there are three kinds of control flow statements: if else statement and nested if statement. So what is if statement? What is if statement? That is, you need to understand what is if statement. If statements allows you to control if a program enters a section of code or not based on given condition is true or false. One of the important function of if statement is that it allows the program to select an action, is that it allows the program for particular base condition and the user inputs. Now I'll go and see let us go for an example of program so you'll have more clarity. Instead of explaining orally or theoretically, let me go explain with the programs, you will have more clarity. Next one, I'll go for if else. So again, I'm using the same blocks, same syntax for this program as well. Next, I'll open this block. Now, int number, the number what you are inputting. So here the number, any number you can input here. To accept this, the data type we are using is int. The data type we are using int. Now see out. In this see out, what happens? Enter an integer. In the output black screen terminal, the statement will be printed as enter an integer. So after that, enter the integer. So the cursor will come to the next line. When the cursor comes to the next line, you have to input some numbers. Means what? You have to accept some numbers. C in and C out. C in, enter the number. So number, whatever the number you accept that, the compiler will take it. So enter an integer and the number. For example, I take 5. So when I enter using keyboard 5, press enter, the number is accepted. Now condition. If is a condition. If number is greater than or equal to 0. Okay, for example, number is greater than or equal to 0. So my number is 5. Obviously, the number will be greater than or equal to 5. So if the condition is true, so your condition is true, then what it has to print? You have entered positive numbers, that is 5. In this part, this number will invoke Cin. This number will invoke Cin and ask the Cin what was the input by the user. These are the internal things. So this number with the insertion operators, when we write this, this will invoke to the Cin expression operator and insertion operator. The number will be displayed here, and the line will end at the end of this syntax, and it will print. Okay, else. So this is about the if statement. Now if you go for else, this is the only condition. If you have, then fine, you can compile the program and you can get the output. What if you are having one more condition? What you are having one more condition? So if your number is not greater than or equal to 0, means what? Your number might be a negative number. Okay, if your number is not positive number, then what? One more condition you need to initialize, that is else. Okay, else if this condition is not satisfying the statement, then automatically the compiler will go to the next block of the segment, that is else statement, and else statement will check the number. Again here the number is invoked from here till here. What is the number the user is inputted in the Cin? Okay, the user inputted in the Cin. So the compiler will have an check. The compiler will check the number, whether the number is positive number or the negative number. If the positive number, the first statement will be printed. If the condition is false here, then automatically the second condition will be taken care. So expression 1, we can call it as expression 1 or expression 2 or condition 1 or condition 2. Here main thing is, if one condition is not satisfying, then the second condition should satisfy. So any one condition, both cannot be false or both cannot be true. So once any one condition is satisfied, with that, this line is always printed. I just mentioned here, this is not required actually, but for your reference, I have written here. Okay. So the number, whatever you input here, it might be a positive number or a negative number, and that will be ended with the end line statement. So that is the end of this program. So let us input some numbers and see with the positive number and the negative number in the output terminal. So let us compile this program. So keep it in mind. So in the beginning, enter an integer was there. That was Cout. Cout, that is enter an integer was there, and then followed by Cin number. I explained you what is number and what is enter an integer. Enter a integer, it was in double quotes, so the statement it is printed as it is on the output screen. Okay, which you can see here. So what I will do first, I'll go with the negative numbers. First, I'll go with the negative numbers. First, I'll go with the negative numbers. The negative number, let me take -5. -5, it is a negative number. If I press enter, Cin will accept your information, that is the number, and check the condition. The first condition was, is this number positive number? And the second condition was, is this the number negative? So if I press this, you should get the output of this program. So you have entered a negative number. So output of this program is, you entered a negative number, that is -5. This line is always printed, that is an extra line which is printed here, which was floated on the program. So this is about the negative number. Let us check with the positive number and see the output once again. I'll close this output screen and click here. Again, I'm compiling this. Now participant, the number I'm going to take is 10. So 10 is nothing but the positive number. By seeing, you can tell it is positive number. Okay, in case you have a complex number, then the compiler can also understand if you don't understand it properly. Here we are using the basic numbers, okay, to understand the fundamentals of C++. Okay, press enter. Now when you press enter, you have entered a positive number. In the previous output, we saw negative number. And in the present output screen, we are seeing the positive number. This is about if-else statement. In this program, what I have dealt is both if and if-else together. Have taken it in a single bunch and I have explained you. Okay, I have explained you. Next one, I'll go for the nested if or the switch statement. Okay, before that, we'll go to the PPT ones. If else over. Okay, next I am going to take out the looping statements of this program. Looping statements. So looping, what is looping? The looping is nothing but, normally there are three kinds of looping statements: for, while and do while. For loop in C++ is an example. A loop is used for executing block of statements repeatedly until the particular condition is satisfied. In looping, what we do is we will give the condition, and depending on the condition, till the condition gets satisfied, the looping statement will go on repeatedly so that the outputs gets properly. Okay, example, when you are displaying a number from 1 to 100, you may want to set the value of variable from 1 to 100 and display it 100 times. Now you want to print 100 numbers from 0 to 100 or 1 to 100. You can use for looping statements, or you can use 100 times print 1, see out print 2, see out print 3, or see in print 1, like that 100 times. Right. As you go on doing that, the complexity of the program will increase, and you cannot write the program, and the length of the program also will increase. To make the program simpler and understandable, looping statement is used. So first example I'm going to take is for loop statement. For loop statement. Okay, now again the same syntax I'm used in this. I have used in the entire session. iostream.h, iostream. iostream is input output namespace and the opening block of the program with the int. Now this program we are discussing on for loop statement. What is for loop and what is the calculation part of this for loop statement? Click this plus. So here I am initializing the variable. So anything you want to do with the looping statement, you need to take the variable. You need to play with the variable. I would say that you need to play with the variable. So to have looping statements, you should have variables. So I have taken two variables as I for loop and n for the number of times the number to accept, and factorial is equal to 1. I will talk factorial later. See out, enter a positive number. So enter a positive number. See, what is this enter a positive number? Again, I'm going with the same example. In the output example, output screen, this syntax will be pasted, or this syntax will be visible on the output screen. Next, C in is n. Here I am taking the variable n, which is initialized in this beginning of the program. So when you initialize in here, n is taken here and n. So when you take this n, any number can be initialized, any number can be put in the output screen. So if you put here 5, for example, I'm taking the same number 5. So what happens? What does for loop do? What is the mechanism of for loop? What is the beginning number? What is the ending number? So for loop, normally we use for loop other than while and do while, because in this one statement only, the beginning statement and ending statement is visible, means beginning and ending can be seen at the same stretch. Now for loop goes like this: for I is equal to 1. So beginning I am going to start the number 1, and end I is less than or equal to n. N is what? 5. N is what? 5. The number what I have accepted here. here post increment is there. There are two kinds of increments and two kinds of decrement operators. That is post increment and pre increment. Then increments, post increment and pre increments, and post decrement and pre decrement. Now here pre decrement is there. Now factorial. What is factorial? So in mathematical calculation, factorial is the number which is being multiplied by the number followed by the following numbers. So factorial is equal to factorial star I. So whatever the number which is initialized here, first one, the next number will be multiplied till it reaches to the end of the last number, that is 5. So for example, I'll show you here. So 1 into 2, second number is 2. So second time the loop statement will go here and it will print 2 here. Again, the third time looping statement will start and it will print 3 here. And next again multiplication symbol, again 4, again multiplication symbol, again 5, again multiplication symbol. Oh wait, you cannot go further because the condition is given till the 5th number only. So as soon as you reach to the 5th number, the for loop statement will terminate the condition and it will give you the output. So here I'll come back here. So this is the mechanism of factorial of numbers. So if you see here, 1 2s are 2, 2 3s are 6, 6 4s are, and followed by this 5. So the total answer will be 120, I guess. Now here the beginning point is 1 and the ending point is 5. The beginning point is 1 and ending point is 5. Each time the loop will run. So next loop will start incrementing by 1 by using this plus operator. Again second time loop finishes, and again third time when it reaches to the end number, that is 3 here, and again the increment operator will move further to the next position of 4. Again next position it goes on, again it moves one by one till it reaches to the last number or the last condition where you have used in the Cin, last condition which you have used in Cin. Okay, so here what happens? 1 2 3 4 5, the condition is done. Now factorial of n. So in the output screen, factorial of n, the number n is what? The number is 5. So factorial of 5 is factorial. See, this factorial will invoke this sentence or this syntax and it will give you the result appropriately. Okay, so it has to see the calculation part or the execution part of this program or the digestion part. This is the main digestion part of this program. And this is the looping statement of this program. And in looping statement, I have used for loop. In for loop, the beginning number and the ending number is been initialized with the increment operator, and it goes on till the number is satisfied to the last condition. Once it reaches to the last number, that condition will terminate and it will go to the output screen. Okay, factorial. So factorial is initialized or invoked and it will see the calculation part here and returns to 0. Means further the value is been nothing. The value is 0 and it will return to the main function. So this is what the end of this program. So we need to understand the output of this program now. Let us go and see the output by compiling this program. So I'm getting an error here. Can you guess what is the error here? The error is I have used some extra part of this for explanation. I'll delete this extra part and again compile this. Once I compile, the program does not have any error. Once you don't have any error, only you will come to the running part of the program or the execution part of the program. Enter a positive integers. So here, enter a positive integer. You can see here n is here. Okay, enter a positive integer, n is your, so n number. I explained you in the example as 5. Let us go with the same number. Let us go with the same number 5. So once 5 is accepted, I'll press enter. Once exception is done, the next syntax will start printing. This is the internal part of the program, and this is the output screen program, factorial of n. Factorial of n, press enter. Factorial of n is what? N is 5 here, and the digestion part or the calculation part of this program is 120. So I showed you the calculation part. 5 4s are 20, 20 3s are 60, 62s are 120. So the number is multiplied one after the other continuously till the last number which is inputted in this looping statement. Once the looping statement is done, the error, you need to check the error whether any errors warning is there. If the error is not there, there is no syntax error, then compile the program. After compiling the program, you can see the output here. This is about for loop statement. Okay, now hope you understood this program as well. Now let us check any doubts or queries you have. Participants, if you have any doubts or queries, please place your questions on the chat box.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, tell me.
Sir, I had a doubt in this loops system. So, after at the end of each and every statement, we use a semicolon.
Yes.
After out statement, in statement, but for loop and if else, sir, for these keywords we do not use semicolon at the end. Sir, why so?
Why? Because these are all the control flow statements and looping statements. I told you in the beginning of the session keywords. Hope you remember the word keyword. In this keyword, for, if, else, all those things are keyword which have a special meaning. So the first special meaning is that the semicolon will not be used in this section. Automatically without semicolon also, this function or the process will function with a special meaning. For, while, do while, if else, if, nested if, then what, which statement, all things we will not use the semicolon.
Okay, sir.
Thank you. Any other doubts?
Thanks.
Hello.
Hello, tell me.
Sir, can you tell the difference between the pre and the post increment statement using an example? Means how the output will differ if we use pre increment or post increment?
Definitely. So increment operator and decrement operator are the operators. Increment operator used to increase the value by 1. Okay, while decrement operator opposite, that is decreased by 1. That is common, but you want to understand what is pre-increment and post-increment, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Pre-increment is what? The pre-increment minus before assign the value of the variable, the value which is incremented or decremented the first time, the decrement operator will be the same. First time, for example, here I start the number with 5 here. 5 here, end on this number as 1. So here this is the post increment. So this syntax will not work. If you can see here, the beginning point is 5 and the ending point, I have to mention the ending point. Ending point I can mention as 1. So the number should print from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So in this case, the decrement operator will use, and that time the number depending on the number it will print. So the decrement operator decrements each time by 1 only. So there is nothing much difference between increment and decrement post and pre. It is just assigning the value for and increasing the number and decreasing the number.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Sir, the operator of increment, sir, if we write before the variable and after the variable, will it make any difference?
Nothing much, nothing much. You can increase, see, you can put it on right side or left side. Nothing much difference will be done in this programming section.
Sir.
So what is the difference between the single equal to and the double equal to?
Okay. So single equal to, for example, A is equal to 10. See here, A is equal to 10. Okay. Single equal to, the value is assigned only for A. Okay. The value
Okay,
is assigned to a variable called A. Double equal to is what? Now example, A is equal to B. Okay. A is equal to B. When you use this, what is the value of A? A is 10. So the 10 value is shared to B also. See, the B is the right hand operand and A is the left hand operand. Okay, so left hand operand value which is been assigned in the beginning only, but the B value is not assigned. So when we have not assigned any value for the second variable, you can use this double equals. So the value is been shared to the other operand also.
okay, sir.
Okay, now one more question I can see in the chat box. Please explain the difference between void main and int main. The difference between void main and int main is nothing like, see, the main function is like other functions. It also takes the arguments and returns some value. Main function can hold any type of values. Okay, see, it has got a control on entire program. Okay, void main indicates that the main function will not return any value, but the main indicates the main function can return integer type value. See here, when you use this main, you can initialize integer type value or any kind of data types or any kind of things you want to do the circus in the program, you can do it, okay, in the main program. If you use this void main, that indicates it does not have any value in that void main. But in the main program, main function, the entire block is being stored. Here we have only one block. In the coming session, we will be writing big program, complex program. In that there will be multiple blocks. There void main also will be used. So in this, in those session, I can explain you properly with main and void main. Main is the main door of the house, and the void main is the control of some particular rooms or some section of the program. Hope it is. Okay, let me go for the last topic. Shall I start the last topic of this session? Yeah, thank you. The next session, next question is switch statement. I'll go for switch statement. We are running out of time. We have 10 minutes left. So next is that switch statement. What is switch statement? Switch is nothing but switch case system in C++ is nothing but it is used for multiple condition. So in C program, flow control statement, there are if else and if else if everything is there. There also you can get the same output by using that, or you can use multiple condition, that is switch statement also. Here the thing is, both are same. Way of writing or condition, way of explaining the condition to the compiler is different. Okay, when we have multiple condition, we need to execute block of statement when a particular condition is satisfied. Here you will be writing each block. You will be writing each block with the condition, terminating the condition and telling that when I input something, this has to be printed. Let me go and explain in the program now. Switch statement. Same thing is used before switching statement. So in our room, in our house, everywhere we have switch. What is that switch? What is that doing? When you on switch, the light will on. When you off the switch, light will get off, right? Means what? You are giving one condition, or you are giving one condition or command for the switch to perform. Okay, the condition is if I off the switch, the power supply should not reach the tube or any electrical device, and then it should off the light. Means condition is been accepted by the program, and then it is getting off. The same thing, if you on the switch, then the current will pass through the line and it will print. So this is one example I can give. There are n number of examples I can give for switch statement. Simple is the remote control of the television TV. See, when you press 1, the 1 will only get activated and the number 1 will be printed on the output. Means television and the number 1 channel will play. Again, if you want to increase the volume, plus the 1 command will do 1 condition and 2 command will give 1 condition. Like that it goes on. Let me go for switch statement. So here the condition int I is equal to 2. So if I press 2, what should be the answer? If I press 3, what should be the answer? If I press 1, what should be the answer? So in the circuit terminology, we have to load the information. We have to program as such to accept the condition, and go further. Now switch is either on and off. So in I there are different cases. In my case is 2. That 2, if I press 2, what should be the output? So there are different cases. You can write n number. Answer as case 1, sorry, class 1. So here, if I press 2, I should get the answer class 2. Between this, one keyword is being used. What is that keyword? If you see in the keyword section, which I explained in the beginning of the session, there are more than 60 plus keywords. In that, break is also one of them, and case is also one of them. Switch is also one of them. So break has got a very different kind of mechanism. That is, it will terminate the condition and it will not print the further whatever the condition or the command is being given. Okay, so if I press 1, I should get answer of the first condition only. If I press 1, I should get the answer of the first condition only. Keep it in mind. If I press 1, or if I press 1 in the remote control, I should get the output 1 only, not any other numbers. If anything is other number is being displayed, then there is some technical issue in the circuit. Okay, then break. If I press 2, 2 should print. If I press 3, 3 should print. If I press 4, 4 should print. And if I press 6, what should happen? I have given only 5 conditions. For that is 1, 2, 3, 4 conditions. 4 conditions. So apart from this 4 condition, any conditions you apply on your output terminal, then it should show you either default or wrong input or anything. Okay, in this switch statement, one thing you need to understand is the break. If you don't use this break, then the following condition also will be taken care. Now, for example, I have taken 2. I'll go with output and let me see the output and come back to the program. Compile this. Okay, class 2 is the output. So in the switch, I have given as I is equal to 2. So switch I have given I is equal to 2 here. So this I is equal to 2 means what? It is accepting only case 2. So rest all condition is being terminated by the statement break. Okay. Now I'll close this, and between this 2 and 3, there is a break statement. I'll remove this break statement, and again I'll compile this program. If I compile this program, you can see the output now. Class 2 and class 3 comes together. Means what? Between this, there is no termination took place. There is no difference between class 2 and class 3. So why we are using break? Now you are able to understand break. It is the condition is breaking from case 1 to case 2. Each case is different. Each command is different. Each command is different. Each command has got its different outputs. So when I remove this break, automatically the condition case 2 and 3 automatically it will start printing. I'll close this. Again, I'll use this break now. When I use this break and compile this program again, now what will be the answer? Class 2. This is 1. Now, this is about class 2. Now, I'll go for this. I'll remove this one and put as 6. 6, I have not given any condition for 6. Till 4, I have given the condition. Apart from 4, any other input by the user, then it should give some statement, something it has to display on the screen. Either your program is not functioning properly, or you inputted the wrong command, or it is a default command. Anything has to be statemented there. So what happens? I'll go for the next I is equal to 6. I'll go for compilation process. So answer is default. Can you see the answer as default here? Means the condition is what are the conditions? I gave only 4 conditions here. Apart from that, any condition in any numbers you input on the output screen, then it should show some output or it should show something on the output screen. What has happened? Now I'll close this and I'll write it here default. Instead of default here, I'll write it wrong command. Wrong command. Now again I'll compile this program and the output shows wrong command. So apart from the case condition what is being shown in this program, so the condition is not satisfying. The condition what I gave was case 1, case 2, case 3, case 4. This case 4 was not there in my output command, or the command which I gave here is I is equal to 6. So if the condition is not satisfying, then automatically it will go to the default condition, that is the normal condition, that is wrong command, and comes to the end of the line and returns to the main program and give you the result as wrong command. This is the switch case statement. Switch case statement is most popularly used in any kind of a device, I would say, in Java, in C++. Switch case statement is the very important case statement used for electronic device. There are billions of devices used by programmers to generate the commands, to give the commands. Yeah, for example, if you go for a car, so you will have a remote of that car. When you press any lock, unlock, the command has to be accepted. That will be coded in the circuit by using the switch statement. There are so many other kinds of statements also available, but switch case statement is the easiest statement we can understand clearly. Now let us come to the chat box. Any doubts, you can place your queries in the chat box.
Sir,
Yes, tell me.
so tomorrow onwards we are going to have our lecture from 7:30 to 8:30, right?
Yes, one other.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yes. Danish, can you hear me, Danish?
Yes.
Yeah. From tomorrow, we are going to start the main course of the meal, I would say. That is OOPS, Object-Oriented Programming Concept. Okay?
Yes, sir.
These are the fundamentals and basic concepts of programming. This is used, but in OOPS, that the way of explanation and the program is different. That will be dealt with the real-time object of the society.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
Hope
Thank you, sir.
there was no technical snag in this session.
Yes, sir.
No, sir.
Very
There
smooth.
was no.
Very smooth
sir.
this time, sir.
Go ahead.
Hello. Sir, I had a query, sir.
Tell me.
So I know a bit of OOPS, that is object-oriented programming. So, sir, in that, sir, the part of classes, I am not a bit sure about it.
Okay, classes and
Classes and
object.
object.
Yeah, classes and object. I'll take more time in classes and object. Nothing much to worry about classes. It's a simple concept. But sometimes you won't understand why this class is being used again and again in the program, how the object is being invoked in the class and all will be discussed in the next class.
Sure, sir. Sure, sir.
Yeah,
Thank
definitely.
you, sir.
Thank you.
See, whatever
Anybody
has
else?
been covered today, it is actually a basics of C++. We just done this extra class just to make understand the basics concept. The the OOPS concept will be started from tomorrow. I think most of the participants, they have got bored up and there was some feedback on the speed that has been taken care. We will take care about that. Any other questions they can ask now?
Sir, one more thing, sir.
Yes.
Sir, I request that the speed of teaching must be the same which was today.
Okay.
Because, sir,
Because there was, yeah, go ahead.
side by side, I am taking down notes too. So, this speed was okay for me to take down all the things which were taught today.
Okay. Any other have any other feedbacks? I request participants to unmute and speak.
And sir, one more thing, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, if it takes a big bit more amount of time for understanding the concept, sir, it's okay by the students, as we have enrolled because we are interested in learning it 100%.
Okay. No issues.
So, sir, extra time it's okay, sir, for my side.
Okay. Any other feedbacks?
सर इतना ही टाइम बहुत है.
Participants to speak. Hello.
Sir, good evening, sir.
Yes.
Sir. Nice. Send it, sir, or not?
Recorded video will not be able to give, but we will share with all the contents, programs, and all those things will be shared. Recorded session we may not be able to share it now. As of now, it is not possible.
Okay, sir, I have a doubt.
Yes.
Sir, will be there any need to simultaneously practice this code in the app while video is going on live?
Yes, you can. It is required.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
I think what I have seen in the Swan, I think most of the participants are taking the sessions on the mobile. If you take a sessions on the mobile, it will be very difficult to work on the systems or whatever the hands-on we are covering. I request participants to take a class on the system so that they can simultaneously work. Any other queries? The presentations and what are the codes will be, that will be sent at around 10:30 to 11 o'clock night. Every day you will get that notes. The presentation. Any other questions? I request all the participants to submit their feedback. That will help us to improve the sessions. Any other feedback? I request participants to unmute and speak.
No, sir. Thank you,
Anyone
sir.
has any queries? Yes. Can you train us the questions normally asked in the interviews? Yes, definitely we will take that at the end of this program. Any other questions? People to speak. Now we are given the chance to speak. We normally don't give a chance to speak anybody, but I am giving an open chance to speak. Is there any participants? He has any doubts?
Right, sir.
Shahaz Bakshi.
Hello, sir.
Yes,
Can you hear me?
yes. Go ahead.
Sir, I wanted to ask you that are we going to have an examination about the same thing that we are going to learn in this?
No, there is no examination as such.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thanks. But still, let me just tell you, there will be a question and answer sessions will be done. Okay,
Okay, sir.
maybe in the second or third day.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
So will there be any prize for the coming test?
sorry.
Will there be any prizes for the one who comes first in the test?
Yes, there are some goodies will be given for sure.
Yes, sir.
There will be some prizes who have answers. We will have
Will
all
it
those
say-
data with us.
Yes, sir.
Yes, there will be a prizes.
Sir, are these quizzes going to be held online?
Yes, online.
And sir, on which portal, sir?
It will be. It will not be a quiz or a portal, something like that. We will have a question same in the PPT itself. There in the chat box, you have to answer those questions.
Sir, I suggest, sir, in chat box, I am mostly not able to, sir, type because my keypad is
No,
not
you will be
that
given a chance
compatible.
at that time. No, you will be given a chance on that day. The question will be
Sure, sir,
displayed on the
sure.
chat box. The
Okay,
question will be displayed on the PPT. You will have to answer on that.
okay, sir, definitely.
Okay. Any other queries? So I am going to end the session in another 1 minute. Anybody has any technical queries? I'm repeating once again. Today it was just a basic session. Just build a foundation. The OOPS will start from tomorrow. OOPS concepts, what we actually wanted to talk about. Other questions? Yes. We will think about that, giving it a Google form. Definitely we'll think about it and we'll come back. Okay, thank you. I'm ending the session. Thanks a
Yes,
lot
sir.
for
Bye.
your patience. Thank you. Have a good night.
Good night, sir.